med sjanse, spør alle hva jeg gjør da. Jeg hitter kløben som om hver dag var en lørdag.
Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the New York Jets and their weird but interesting firing of Mike Magana, I believe that's how you say it. And yeah, he was actually fired. He's been signed with the Jets for 4 years as their general manager, GM. And so basically he was fired last Wednesday. I should have probably got the news out faster, but there's been like a lot of stuff coming out about how maybe Peyton Manning will sign with the Jets, considering that he had a history with active GM, basically Adam Gase, who's also the head coach, which he's probably going to be looking to get a new GM in the office right now, probably one that won't fire him anytime soon or ever, such as Peyton Manning, who has a relationship with Adam Gase. And but there's been a lot of names in the mix, but Peyton Manning has been the biggest, just because he has such a good chemistry with Adam Gase, but also being a quarterback and having a young quarterback coming into his second year. Sam Darnold makes a lot of sense, considering they signed Jamison Crowder, Le'Veon Bell, traded for Clemson Assembly, a good offensive lineman. So it makes a lot of sense for them to really look for Peyton Manning to be their next GM, help out with Sam Darnold being one of the creeps Peyton Manning is, potentially being a Hall of Famer, which he's won 2 Super Bowls, went to 4, lost to the Seahawks in a big one. He won 2 years with the Colts, 2 years with the Broncos. It's just, there's a lot of good relationship there with him and Adam Gase when he was in Denver. So it really just makes sense for Adam Gase to try to get him in. But it would be kind of hard for Peyton Manning. I could see it really happening, but there's Peyton Manning's got everything he needs right now. He's wealthy. He's been, you see him in all those Allstate commercials and stuff. So yeah, it's just he's got everything he needs. It's just, but how do I put this into words? It's just a long-term thing if he wants to get back into football and become the general manager of any NFL team, but most likely the Jets, considering they don't have one at the moment, except Adam Gase, who's technically their head coach, but subbing in as the GM since they've fired their last GM. So I thought I'd also talk about some of the offseason moves the Jets have made. So I mentioned they traded for Clemson Assembly, signed Le'Veon Bell, and Jamison Crowder, and I just wanted to point out some of the stuff that they've done on their offense real quick. So if you didn't know, the Jets actually let Jermaine Kearse walk this offseason, which was probably one of their good moves, considering they got him in a trade, I think 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, where they traded a first-round pick. No, not a first-round pick. Sheldon Richardson, which I think was a first-rounder, who was really coming in and being very good. But now Sheldon Richardson obviously signed with the Browns after playing a year in Seattle and with the Minnesota Vikings, one of the better defensive tackles in the NFL. But they basically traded for Jermaine Kearse and got a second-round pick, which is smart on them. They're set up quite well for the long-term plan. But so they basically have had they've had Robbie Anderson and Quincy Enunwa, Sam Darnold's favorite wide receiver. Basically they've been coming up being way better playmakers in the past 2 years. So since you have Sam Darnold, they signed a very reliable pass catcher in Jamison Crowder, who actually came over from the Washington Redskins, which made a lot of sense considering the Washington Redskins already had Jordan Reed, Josh Doxson, and Paul Richardson coming into his second year of his 5-year contract, so they didn't really need Jamison Crowder to have all that cap space, that cap lock in their salary, because considering they signed Landon Collins to that massive deal for safety, one that's not really heard of. I don't know if it was bigger than Earl Thomas's, but I think it was, just because of the long-term plan and the amount of money he gets. But yeah, so basically they did a lot on offense. They let Isaiah Crowell walk, and if you saw my best offseason moves, like at the time with the Raiders, getting all of like Antonio Brown, but then they also signed Isaiah Crowell. They let Isaiah Crowell walk and a couple other running backs, which is smart because the teams had like a really lot of old running backs in their past 4 years, so it's good for them to get Le'Veon Bell. I think they will probably maybe trade or sign a free agent that is a running back just for a second running back, but I'm not really sure about their running backfield. I don't really know any other names in there besides Le'Veon Bell, which is probably one of their better playmakers. But I think the real reason, and a lot of people think the real reason they fired their GM, the Jets did, was Adam Gase like wanting all that power in that team, but also just for the amount of cap space he spent, like cap room he spent this offseason was so much between him signing CJ Mosley, Le'Veon Bell, and James Crowder. There's just so much cap room. And considering they have these rookies coming in, like Sam Darnold and what was his name? I can't remember his name, but their third overall pick, Quinnen Williams, who's a defensive tackle, who's probably going to pair up pretty well with Leonard Williams. It's looking like they're going to have a very good front seven with CJ Mosley and Quinnen Williams and Leonard Williams. That's just going to be a massive, really good secondary. That's not secondary. Front seven, considering they passed up on Josh Allen, not the quarterback, but the linebacker out of Kentucky who went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. It just makes a lot of sense for them to do that. But they also drafted another defensive front guy in a D end and Pilot, or I think it's Pilot. He was a third round defensive end out of, I believe, the Florida Gators. I can't remember his first name, but I'll put it up there on the screen right there for you. And a picture of him. He's one of like the better defensive ends coming into this draft on my draft board. I was surprised he fell to the third round. I thought he'd really go in the second round, or maybe not. I had nothing going for him in the first round, but I thought he'd be in the middle of the second round. He fell to them in the third round, which was like a really good pickup. They also got a tight end, considering they don't really have that many playmakers at the tight end position. So so they did pretty well in the draft, getting with their first 3 picks. I thought even their 4th pick, getting a linebacker. So they did a lot, but the amount of cap space they spent in this offseason was just so much, considering they have all this young talent in their backfield. Not their backfield, but like their bench. They just signed so many players, traded for a really good guard in Clemson Osemele. And if I'm like repeating a lot of names over and over again, it's just because like this is such a stacked team now that they got these players, which really made a lot of sense, considering they needed that front seven to be really improved, considering they're in the division with Tom Brady and the Patriots and like the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. Like the Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, don't get me wrong, they suck. Their defenses don't suck. Like I could see, I don't know, I'm not sure if the Miami Dolphins defense is going to be good now, considering they signed their corner to a long-term contract, Xavier Howard, and they also drafted Dexter Lawrence at defensive tackle. The Christian Wilkins, my bad, and they also got Rashard Jones in there. So it's a very good defense. They need probably a better pass rusher, considering they let their long time left end go, which signed with the Tennessee Titans. But getting back to the Jets, they look very good, considering you gotta remember they drafted Jamal Adams 3 years ago. So they've had some very good picks in my mind, like with Jamal Adams, Sam Darnold, and now Quinnen Williams. Those are some very good players. Featured Pro Bowlers. We've already seen Jamal Adams go to the Pro Bowl last year, which is very good considering he's probably one of the better safeties now in the league, considering a lot of them are getting up there, like Earl Thomas and Eric Weddle, but there's also players like Tyrann Mathieu, Landon Collins, and some others that make really good safeties along with LaMarcus Joyner. So, yeah. So they're probably set up long term for their secondary, just considering they signed Terrence Mitchell, not Terrence Mitchell, but Jermaine Johnson last year in the free agency to be the next star corner, who played for the Rams, but he had not little success considering their team wasn't just that great that year. It was good; they went to the playoffs, but yeah. So they made a lot of really good moves. I thought the Jets did in free agency, getting some backup players. Not one really in particular, but I'm pretty sure they signed quite a bit of undrafted rookie free agents, which is always a good thing because you never know you're going to really get out of these undrafted rookies. There's always some rookie that I think just comes out and plays very well in the NFL compared to their college days, and maybe it's just the college they went to, or I don't know. It's just there's always one guy or two guys, you remember Kareem Hunt and Alvin Kamara a couple years ago for the backfield. They just played very well. But I'm very excited to see these Jets come into play. I don't think they're going to be great yet. I think they're really going to have to work with Sam Darnold and becoming a better, more reliable quarterback. I think he needs to not throw as many interceptions because I don't want to see him turn into Marcus Mariota where he throws all these interceptions, because I think Marcus Mariota is a great QB, don't get me wrong, but he's thrown so many interceptions in his days playing in the NFL. It's just so annoying to watch considering he has all the talent there. It's just mind-blowing how many interceptions he throws. And I don't want to see Sam Darnold do what he did last year when he was playing good and then all of a sudden he started throwing picks left and right, and it's just not worth seeing in a young quarterback like him. So I think if they get Peyton Manning as their next GM, or just a better quarterback coach overall, and Adam Gase can help a little bit more, I think he will just play tremendously much more better than he has in this previous year in the NFL. And there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL like Josh Rosen and Josh Allen that really need to get better since last year. I think the only two that really did that good last year was the two Heisman Trophy winners that were drafted in the first round, Baker Mayfield at number 1 overall and number 32 overall Lamar Jackson going to the Baltimore Ravens. And a lot of people thought he was more of a wide receiver, not a quarterback. But you gotta remember, look at Russell Wilson. He got a 4-year, $140 million deal. That's almost unheard of. That's like almost what Chris Paul gets paid on the Houston Rockets or LeBron James. And so basically, if you're gonna draft Kyler Murray number 1 overall, you should have drafted Lamar Jackson before Sam Darnold, in my opinion. But I don't know. That's stupid to me. I think Lamar Jackson's the better quarterback in the draft class than any others, even Baker Mayfield. But that's just my opinion. So I think the Jets are set up long term if they can get the Sam Darnold thing worked out. But because I know Quentin Williams was the second best player in this draft, because the Cardinals only took Kyler Murray with a number 1 overall pick because their new head coach Kingsbury is so stupid. But he's just is a quarterback coach. He's kind of obsessed with Kyler Murray, if you ask me, considering he was trying to get him to come to Texas Tech instead of he went to Oklahoma and was behind Baker Mayfield, which is kind of funny considering Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray went to the same college and got drafted number 1 overall 2 years, two Oklahoma State quarterbacks going 2 years in a row first overall. That's kind of crazy if you ask me. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the video, guys. If you liked it or enjoyed it and just liked the information I shared with you, just please give it a like. I wanted to say something about my last video, the Ben Zorbis one. That one was just a little bit chaotic for me. It wasn't that good of a video. I hope this quality video is much better. But yeah, that's it. It was just a little. I don't know if the lead I got was that good, but I don't know. I'll update you on that. My next video is probably gonna be either on football or on Tifu in his little phase situation, which if you don't know, you can just go look it up. It's pretty big right now. And yeah, so if you liked the video, please leave a like on this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and leave a comment on the next video you would like to see. I read comments because I don't really get many comments. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching, and bye.